Back in the 1970s, deep inside Chengdu's secret labs, whispers began. No headlines. No cameras. Just shadows and a dream. A dream of stealth. At the time, the world believed only the United States and the Soviet Union held the keys to such technology. But in those quiet, windowless rooms, Chinese engineers planted a seed. A seed no one would notice for decades, until it grew into a beast that now threatens to shake the global balance of power. December 26, 2024. A date carved into history. On a runway in Chengdu, a black jet marked 36-01 rose into the sky. The J-36. Bigger than the F-35. Faster than the F-22. Stealthier than both. For those watching from the ground, it felt unreal, like seeing a ghost in daylight. For generals and analysts across the globe, it was worse. It was a nightmare. Imagine it, a massive, diamond-shaped predator, carving through the clouds, vanishing from radar, unstoppable to the naked eye. Not just a machine of war, but a declaration. A message from Beijing that the skies were no longer America's to dominate. But what makes this jet so different? What makes the J-36 so terrifying that generals from Washington to Tokyo are losing sleep? April 2025 gave us a clue. On highways across Sichuan province, drivers slammed their brakes. They got out of their cars. Phones tilted upward. And there it was, the J-36, roaring overhead. Triple engines blazing, futuristic curves gleaming, casting a shadow that stretched across the highway. Within hours, those videos went viral. Millions watched. Millions whispered. Asterisk, this changes everything. Asterisk. But here's the twist. The J-36 wasn't built just to fight. No. It was built to command wars. Stay with me, because what comes next will change the way you see the future of air combat forever. The story begins long before that viral moment. In the 1990s, while the West focused on the Gulf War and stealth bombers like the F-117, Chinese engineers quietly sketched their own designs. By the 2000s, the J-20 project proved that China could leap decades ahead faster than anyone thought possible. Then came 2019. Beijing shocked the world, openly confirming that it was working on a sixth-generation fighter, with a target of 2035. Analysts laughed. They called it impossible. Too ambitious. Too soon. They said China was at least 20 years behind Lockheed Martin and Boeing. But they were wrong. Because while the world mocked, China sprinted. In silence. In shadows. In October 2021, satellite images leaked. Not a normal jet. Not a drone. But a strange, tailless aircraft with diamond-like wings. Analysts zoomed in. Circles, arrows, debates exploded online. Was it a hoax? A decoy? Or the prototype of something that wasn't supposed to exist until 2035? For 3 years, silence. No more photos. No more leaks. Just whispers. And then came December 26, 2024, not just any day, but Mao Zedong's birthday. Beijing knew exactly what it was doing. Because when that black jet lifted into the sky, it wasn't just a test flight. It was theater. A global message. China has arrived. The J-36 wasn't a rumor anymore. It was real. And it was terrifying. But the world still asked, was this just for show? Or could this beast actually fight? March 2025 gave the answer. The J-36 flew again. Smooth. Controlled. No hesitation. Then April came, and the viral highway footage silenced any doubt. But the real shock arrived in June. New close-up photos leaked. And for the first time, the world saw something chilling. Not one seat. 2. For decades, stealth fighters like the F-22 and F-35 were single-seat machines. One brain. One trigger finger. But the J-36 broke that rule. Why? Because it wasn't just a fighter. It was a flying headquarters. One pilot to fly. The other to command drones, AI swarms, cyber strikes. Imagine it, one invisible jet, directing an entire air war in real time. A commander in the sky, hidden from radar, untouchable. And the deeper analysts dug, the darker it got. Unusual vents hinted at energy weapons. New stealth coatings that bent radar waves like shadows in the night. Ports for drone integration. Loyal wingman drones slaved directly to the J-36, fast, disposable, and deadly. Think of your smartphone. One device controlling dozens of others. Messages. Apps. Networks. Now imagine that, but in the sky, except instead of apps, it's drones, missiles, cyber weapons, and AI strike packs. The J-36 wasn't a fighter anymore. It was a system of war. By mid-2025, war rooms from Washington to Brussels were panicking. Because simulations painted a grim picture. In dogfights, the J-36 wasn't just fast and stealthy. It erased the enemy's ability to fight back. Loyal wingman drones overwhelmed defenses. Directed energy weapons blinded satellites and fried electronics. And while US and Allied pilots struggled to coordinate over radio, the J-36 did it all silently, instantly, from the cockpit. It wasn't about speed. It wasn't about firepower. It was about control. And that led to the most terrifying realization of all time. Beijing had once promised 2035. But now, whispers hinted at 2030. Some said even earlier. By the end of the 2020s, the world's first sixth-generation squadrons might not be American. Not European. But Chinese. Meanwhile, America's NGAD program was still in development. Europe's FCAS was stuck in politics. Japan's FX was still years away. Time itself had become a weapon. And China was racing ahead. So what does this mean for the future? By the 2030s, the J-36 won't just be a fighter. It could be the nerve center of China's entire war machine, linked to satellites in orbit, guiding ships at sea, commanding drones in the sky. A single aircraft acting as the brain of an entire battlefield. This isn't just the future of combat. It's the future of control. And that's why generals across the world are losing sleep. Because every leaked photo, every public flight, every whisper points to the same chilling truth: the J-36 isn't just here to fight. It's here to dominate. So here's the question. Will China's J-36 truly seize the skies and change the world order? Or will America and its allies rise fast enough to stop it before it's too late? Stay tuned. Because this story is only just beginning.